A man from Florida was sentenced to 8 months in prison Monday. He's the first Capitol riot defendant sentenced for a felony charge. Paul Hodgkins waved a Trump 2020 flag on the floor of the Senate chamber on January 6th. The 38-year-old pleaded guilty last month to one count of obstructing an official proceeding. For more, I want to bring in CBS News reporter Cassidy McDonald. She has been following the Capitol riot investigation. Hi there, Cassidy. So Paul Hodgkins faced a recommended sentence of between 15 and 21 months. How did he end up with an 8-month sentence?
Well, prosecutors had asked for a sentence within that range. They asked for the judge to sentence him to 18 months in prison. They said that his sentence needed to reflect the gravity, the weight of the event that day. They described the Capitol attack as something that threatened the peaceful transfer of power. And they said that a longer sentence would help deter any similar possible events in the future. Hodgkins' lawyer, on the other hand, asked for home confinement only. He asked for no time in prison. The judge ultimately sentenced him somewhere in the middle of those two requests. He said that the Capitol attack was serious. He called it an assault on democracy. But ultimately, he said that because Hodgkins had no criminal history and that he'd shown a willingness to accept responsibility for his actions that day, the judge said that warranted a lower sentence.
Well, Cassidy, remind our viewers exactly what he was accused of and give us a sense of the significance of today's ruling.
Well, Paul Hodgkins was seen waving a Trump 2020 flag on the floor of the U.S. Senate. He was seen standing next to the dais beside Jacob Chansley, the so-called QAnon shaman, as he led the group there in prayers and chants. And last month, he pleaded guilty to one count of obstruction of an official proceeding. In doing that, he admitted that his goal while he was on the Senate floor that day was to obstruct the certification of the 2020 presidential election. Now, Paul Hodgkins is the first rioter to plead guilty to a felony crime, or rather to be sentenced for a felony. And the potential punishments for other Capitol rioters in similarly situated positions, they could be gleaning some insight from his sentencing today. And we do know that nearly 235 Capitol riot defendants have been charged with that same crime that Paul Hodgkins was sentenced to today.
Well, Cassidy, I want to play some of what we heard from Hodgkins' lawyer after sentencing. Let's listen to that.
For the record, you guys should give Paul Hodgkins a break. You know, it took a lot of courage to do what he did today. You know, he hasn't equivocated. He's admitted what he did was wrong. He's come forward. He said, hey, I am wrong. I need forgiveness here. And what do we have? We have a huge number of people in this country that all they want to do is just like, you know, the heck with you. Why should I give you any forgiveness?
So, Cassidy, you've spoken to Paul Hodgkins' lawyer. What do you make of his comments?
Well, as some background, a prosecutor in court today continued to bring up the fact that they wanted Paul Hodgkins' sentence to act as a deterrent for other rioters and for the general public, to send a message that this was a serious event. Now, Hodgkins' lawyer has said that a lesser sentence would actually help heal the nation after what happened January 6th. He has repeatedly compared the situation we're in now, the political division that we're experiencing after January 6th, to the Reconstruction period after the U.S. Civil War. He actually wrote in a court filing last week that Lincoln showed mercy to the Confederate soldiers, and so the courts should also show mercy to the people who have been charged in the Capitol riot. Now, I spoke with Paul's lawyer after the hearing today, and he said that Paul was sort of grappling with the weight of what's going to happen now that he is going to serve some time in prison. But he said that ultimately they respected the judge's decision in this case.
And Cassidy, I know you've been covering all angles of this investigation. How many people have pleaded guilty in the Capitol attack so far?
Well, around 20 defendants have pleaded guilty to charges, and this is out of more than 500 people who have been charged. And the people who have pleaded guilty all face a wide range of recommended sentences. We know that at least 13 people have pleaded guilty to misdemeanor charges alone, so they're facing likely no more than 6 months in prison, if that. But others have pleaded guilty to more serious charges like obstruction and conspiracy, and they're facing potentially years in their recommended prison sentences. So that's just a reminder of the differing allegations against Capitol riot defendants. One other example of that, we're watching a defendant named Josiah Colt. He's someone who was seen swinging from the Senate balcony that day, and he pleaded guilty actually to the same obstruction charge that Paul Hodgkins was sentenced on today, but he faces a recommended sentence that's about 3 times higher.
Interesting. Well, prosecutors continue to argue that January 6th was domestic terrorism. What are the legal implications of that?
Right. A DOJ prosecutor said today that the events of January 6th were domestic terrorism. She said that even though Paul Hodgkins did not himself commit any acts of violence, they needed to consider his actions within the context of this event, which she said amounted to terrorism. Now, in the U.S., domestic terrorism isn't itself a criminal charge, but it is a factor that judges can consider at sentencing if a prosecutor is able to prove that certain defendants met that burden, were able to prove that they had committed what's considered a crime of terrorism. Now, we have reported that in at least 3 Capitol riot defendants' cases, prosecutors have accused them of committing this crime of terrorism. So in these cases, we'll be watching at sentencing to see if prosecutors do attempt to prove this. But legally, a terrorism allegation is something that prosecutors will need to prove individually on a case-by-case basis. But in the meantime, we've clearly seen that they have a willingness to describe this entire event as an act of terrorism.
All right, Cassidy McDonald continuing her comprehensive coverage of the Capitol riot. Thank you so much, Cassidy.
Thank you.